All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate everyone taking the time to tune in to our Summer on the Italian Coast pre-departure webinar. My name is Juliana, and I'm your program coordinator for Summer on the Italian Coast. I've been working with you all through the application process, and I am so excited to be here with you today to share more about your experience in Sorrento. So joining us today is your Italy site director, Romina, and your on-site support staff, Molly. Romina, would you like to introduce yourself?
Of course. Hi everyone, my name is Romina Marchionne. I'm the Italy site director. I've been working for CISabroad for 8 years now. I'm from Rome, but I'm very familiar with Sorrento, the Amalfi Coast, and the Napoli area. Those are like some of my favorite areas in Italy, and I can't wait to show you around. I'll be working on site with Molly. Molly, would you like to introduce yourself?
All
Mm,
right. Well, we'll let Molly maybe get settled and she can introduce herself maybe towards the end, unless you're here right now, Molly. All right. Well, I will just say on behalf of Molly, she was on the Italian Coast program last year. She has so much experience running this program, working with students. She's a great asset to the CIS Abroad team, and she is so excited to be working with you on site. All
Hello, can
right.
everyone hear me again?
Oh, here we go. There's Molly. Molly, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm so sorry for a couple technical difficulties, but hello everyone, my name is Molly. I am also a coordinator of Italy here at CIS Abroad, and I will be serving as your on-site support this summer. I had the great pleasure of doing so last summer with our batch of Summer on the Italian Coast students, and I'm so excited to help you explore Sorrento and really have a impactful cultural experience this summer. So very much looking forward to meeting each and every one of you this summer.
Great. Thanks so much, Molly and Romina. All right. So let's get started. All right, so our itinerary today, what will we be talking about? So first, we're gonna go through what's in my bag. So this is all the tips and tricks about preparing to travel, who to call in case of an emergency, what to pack or what not to pack, and what to expect when you arrive. Then we'll be discussing a little bit more about Sorrento. So all the La Vida Local activities that you'll be participating in. Romina will share some local advice and recommendations to prepare you for your stay. And then what are you doing? So more about your housing accommodations, the university, and the program activities that you'll be experiencing when in Sorrento. So I will say we're going to give you a lot of information as we move along. However, if you do see on your screen, there is a box for questions. So these questions will all be kept anonymous, but you can type in a question, and during the time at the end, we'll be sure to do our best in answering them. So thank you, and let's get started. All right, so getting it together, what do you need before you leave? So the most important thing before you go abroad is to ensure your health and your safety while on site. So it would be a great idea, if you haven't done so already, to check in with your doctor before you go, especially if you have prescription medication. So with your prescription medication, if you do need that, you want to make sure that it's in the original bottle with your name on it, and you also have a doctor's note just explaining the medication and what you need it for. This is because you may not be able to find prescription medication that you need in Italy, as it may not be available in Sorrento. And also be sure to take it in your carry-on bag. This will be really important, just in case your bags take a little detour. We always want to make sure that you have that medication necessary close to you in your carry-on bag. And Romina and Molly will do, a great, more thorough job in speaking more about health and safety during your on-site orientation. All right, so moving on to money matters and talking a little bit about your bank. So I recommend contacting your bank to make sure they know you're going abroad. So you should tell them the dates you'll be abroad as well as which country or countries you will be traveling to. This is really important because they may mark your transactions as fraudulent and cut off access to your bank. So you just want to make sure your bank knows you're going abroad, the dates you're going, just to make sure when you get there you have access to the money that you'll need. You also want to make sure that you know your foreign transaction fees when taking out money abroad, both for credit cards and for the ATM fees. So for credit cards, they usually have a certain percentage that they charge every time you swipe it. And at the ATM, they'll usually charge you a flat rate when you are withdrawing money of about 2 or 3 euros. So just keep that in mind for when you do decide, what's the easiest method for you to take money out and use your money while you're abroad. Excuse me. With saying this, I would recommend to even look into ordering euros ahead of time from your bank. So I would suggest, ordering maybe 50 to 100 euros to get you started when you land and just in case of an emergency. So, you get to the airport in Naples, you're starving, and you have those euros to buy something at the airport, or, you have that money just to ease your mind in case of any emergency. We do not recommend bringing traveler's checks or bringing large sums of US dollars to exchange to euros while you're there, just because the exchange rate is very high when exchanging dollars to euros. And so instead, we usually recommend withdrawing money from ATMs. All right, so that's a little bit about banking. In regards to your passport, so I would just recommend, making several copies of your passport just in case anything, were to happen to your passport. Hopefully that does not occur, but you just want to make sure you're prepared. So do make those copies of your passport, carry them with you, and, just be prepared. Your plane tickets. So if you've not booked your flight, be sure to do so as soon as possible. When you have done so, you can enter your travel information in the travel information section of the CIS Abroad portal. So once you enter this travel information, CIS Abroad and Santa Ana will know how you're arriving, what flight you're arriving on, and if you do have any delays. So this really helps Santa Ana organize the shuttles and the transportation for you from Naples to Sorrento. So it's really important that we do have that information. So if you haven't done so already, please just enter that in your CIS Abroad portal. Also, just be sure to print a copy of your plane tickets as well. I always recommend this just in case your phone dies, or something happens right before you leave. You have that reassurance of having that printout of your plane tickets. Romina or Molly, I don't know if you wanted to jump in and say anything about any of these.
I think we're good. Maybe we can start saying something about like packing. I know every student uh, always overpack. So
Yes.
my first advice, please don't overpack. Leave some space because I'm sure you will buy a lot of souvenirs during your stay in Italy. Make
Mm-hmm.
sure to bring good walking shoes because Sorrento is by the beach, by the coast, but it's very hilly. So there are lots of like ups and downs. So make sure to like bring a good pair of walking shoes with you. It's gonna be warm, but my recommendation is to like bring at least a couple of long pants and layers, especially because when traveling, can be a little bit colder with when with AC on the plane, and then you may want to wear like a long sleeve t-shirt. um, Make sure to bring clothes and outfits that will work well for many occasions, including a couple of business casual outfits.
Mm.
um, you know, you will be invited to many like events from CIS and also from Santana. So it will be good to have a couple, you know, of like business casual outfits with you. Make sure to bring converter because you will need one. Of course, they sell them in Sorrento, but it will be cheaper for you to buy one on Amazon before traveling. Um, you can, I mean, you have to enjoy the beach as much as possible in Toronto, so make sure uh, to bring, you know, a swimming suit, beach towel, um, flip-flops, everything you will need at the beach, including sunscreen, because in Italy, is like sunscreen is way more expensive than in the US. Also, don't forget the bug spray because you know, Sorrento is by the water, so it means that it gets very humid during summer and there are like mosquitoes. So make sure to bring some bug spray. If you don't find it at home, you will, you know, be able to buy some bug spray on site. Molly and I will help you to find out where to buy it. Also, make sure to pack at least your like medication and essentials either like 2 or 3 days in your carry-on in case of lost luggage. Um, and very important, make sure to like bring a crossbody bag and a backpack with a locker
Mm.
because we'll talk about this later, but because unfortunately sometimes there are like pickpockets, especially on public transportation. Not in Sorrento, to be honest, but I'm sure you will be traveling to Naples, Rome, maybe Florence, Milan. So in bigger cities, you have to be careful. A crossbody bag will be um, Juliana, do you want to go ahead, or Molly, do you have any other packing tip?
Yeah, I have a couple that I would add just from having spoken with students from last summer. If you are really into hiking or physical activity, I had a couple students who mentioned that they wish they had brought more like active wear so that they can go hiking, you know, without, if they just have one set of active wear, then they found that problematic if, you know, they had to wait to wash that. So, you know, think about how much, you know, hiking or physical activity you might be wanting to do. Also, if you have a power bank, which is basically like a portable battery that you can stick a USB cord into and then charge your phone or charge your camera while you're on the move, I think that's a really convenient thing to do, especially when you're traveling all day and, you know, you may not be able to be in one spot and have an outlet accessible for an extended period of time to charge your phone. So if you have a power bank, you know, I would definitely bring that. I definitely would like to reiterate as well what Romina said about bringing good walking shoes. Europeans in general, and I would argue in Sorrento especially, you walk to get pretty much everywhere. So the worst thing you can do is bring shoes that are pinching your feet and that don't give you support. You know, you will only be able to explore as long as your feet will let you. So make sure you have shoes that you're going to feel comfortable walking in. And then in terms of, I guess, not overpacking, I know that's super difficult because, you know, you're envisioning a summer on the beautiful Italian coast and you want to make sure you look good. What I would recommend is definitely do not take anything with you that you have not worn in the past year. I think it's a pretty common thing for students to think, oh, I have this really cute, you know, fill in the blank. But they haven't worn it in the past year. You probably also won't wear it now this summer. So make sure you're bringing clothes that you actually will wear. You can do laundry. You'll have access to washing machines, you know, in your apartment or at the dorm. So keep that in mind. You can do laundry. And then also, I would say if you're trying to figure out how much to pack, lay out what you think you want to take, and then cut that in half, and that'll take away a lot of kind of the unnecessary fluff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
Juliana, anything to add?
Yeah, no, thank you. That was great. I think piggybacking off what not to do. So yes, of course, definitely don't overpack. I don't recommend, bringing a hair dryer or a straightener. They're very inexpensive to buy in Italy. So, I've had experiences where I've blown a fuse and my straightener has completely broken. So just recommend to, wait until you're there. Also, toiletries, so you can save the weight in your suitcase. You can bring, little travel size shampoos, conditioners, but you can wait to purchase most of your toiletries in Sorrento. And also, please keep in mind, about your weight limit for your checked bag if you choose to bring a checked bag. So make sure, your suitcase is below the weight limit. You don't want to have to be like paying a lot when you get to the airport or taking out things once you do get to the airport. So if you are checking luggage, make sure it's below the weight limit, and also always pre-purchase a checked bag. It's much cheaper to do it online and way more expensive in the airport. All right, so I think that covers what to pack and what not to pack. We can move on. I think I covered most of the banking in Italy. I don't know if Molly or Romina, you saw anything on site that you would like to add.
Yeah, just something very quickly about carrying like cash. So you don't need to carry with you a lot of cash when like in Sorrento or when traveling during like weekends. It's good to always have some cash with you, but I would say no more than like 80 euros or so. Most of places in Sorrento, they do accept credit cards. It's not like in the States that you can pay pretty much everything with your credit card, but everything I would say over like 15 euros, like 12, 15 euros can be paid by credit card. Of course, if you buy an espresso, which is only like €1 in Italy, they won't accept a credit card. But most places in Sorrento, they will accept credit cards for like bills that are over like 12 euros or so.
Yeah, great advice, Romina. Thank you for that. All right. So Molly and Romina, maybe you can take away the cell phones and the communication while on site.
Yeah, of course. So when you're on site, you are required to have a working cell phone in Italy. This is important, kind of for emergency purposes. In the case of an emergency, it's important that we're able to reach you and also that you are able to reach out for help should you need it. So you have two options when it comes to what kind of cell phone plan you want to sign up for. So you can talk to your US phone provider and inquire about options for an international plan. Most US phone carriers will have some variation of an international plan to offer. It's just the cost will, of course, depend on your specific provider. The other option would be to make sure that your phone is unlocked before you leave the US. And then once you get into Italy, to purchase an Italian SIM card with a local Italian phone company. So if you don't know if your phone is unlocked, unlocking your phone basically just means that it's able to accept a SIM card that is not the original SIM card that came in your phone. So in order to determine whether your phone is already unlocked, you can talk to your US cell phone provider to get that information. As long as your phone is unlocked before you arrive into Italy, then you shouldn't have any problems just plugging in an Italian SIM card and communicating as usual. So there are a few different plans, of course, that you can sign up for in Italy, and so you can kind of investigate those if you prefer to investigate this independently. However, Romina and I during orientation will talk more about a more standard cell phone plan, and we'll give you a list of materials for what you will need to bring when you go to the cell phone store in Sorrento, so that you're prepared when you walk in and you have all the materials you need to purchase a cell phone plan. So the biggest ones and the two different stores that they have in Sorrento are Vodafone and TIM. So you'd want to go to one of those two stores. And with your cell phone plan, you pay for a certain amount, and then you can top that up later on, when you need more data or you need more minutes by going to what is called a tabaki. Romina, am I saying that right?
Yes.
Okay, where
Or even at the supermarket, certain supermarkets. So
yeah, so then you go to the checkout, or you go to the kiosks. That's what a tabaki is basically, and you say, I would like to add 10 euros to my cell phone, and they'll ask you your number, and then you'll be recharged and able to continue using your cell phone plan. Yeah, anything else you'd add about that, Romina?
I think it's very important, as you said, Molly, that all students will have a functioning cell phone while in Italy. It's very cheap compared to how much it costs in the US,
Oh,
and
yes.
yeah, and you don't have to worry about turning on and off your data every minute basically.
Hmm.
I think it's very convenient, and we highly recommend to get a local SIM card. The pay-as-you-go phone, it's very, I mean, many tourists, even if they're here only for like a week or 10 days, they get, a pay-as-you-go phone or SIM card if their phones are unlocked. And it's way cheaper than, for example, I know Verizon, they charge $10 per day to use, data and like minutes. So $10 a day for a 4-week session is a lot of money. So I think it's way more convenient to pay for like 15, 30 euros, and you will be, fine for like 4 weeks or even more if you will like travel later after the end of the program.
Right. Well, thank you
Absolutely,
so
great
much.
point.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, Molly and Romina, for explaining that. Molly, did you want to add something?
Yeah, just one more thing, and that is that to communicate with each other on the program, we'll be using WhatsApp a lot. I don't know if anyone here or listening to this webinar has used or is currently a user of WhatsApp, but WhatsApp is basically a text messaging service that takes place, over the internet or, over data, as opposed to regular SMS messages. So it enables you to kind of basically text internationally. And you can do that while connected to Wi-Fi or while connected to your phone's data. So we will be creating a WhatsApp group and sending out a link for everyone to join a couple of weeks before the start of your program. So keep your eyes peeled for that information to come to you via email, and it'll be really important that you join that WhatsApp group. You'll probably also use it, personally to communicate with friends and family back home. But we'll be sending out a lot of program-specific updates and information via that WhatsApp group.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Molly, for adding that.
Sure.
All right. So we're going on to our travel checklist and advice. So it's very important that the travel documents listed below, the pre-arrival instructions, the passport and your copies, any credit and debit cards, and any prescriptions and health information are safely tucked in your carry-on. So we will be sending you some pre-arrival instructions. It's a big packet of, what to do in situations like flights being delayed, baggage is rerouted. We have emergency card info for you. So you want to make sure to keep these pre-arrival instructions with you in your carry-on printed out. And also to store any emergency phone numbers in your wallet or purse. We want you to just have this on hand, written down on a piece of paper, stuck in your wallet or your purse, just in case, your phone dies or something happens to your phone, hopefully not, which would cause you to, lose access to any emergency contact info. So, make sure to just before you leave, write these down on a piece of paper, keep it somewhere safe so you do have access to it. All right, and then tips for long distance flights. So maybe some of you, haven't been on a long distance flight before. There are a lot of good tips and tricks so you can be most comfortable when you are taking a long distance flight. So I would highly recommend bringing a reusable water bottle and bringing some snacks. So on the tip of the reusable water bottle, this is great just to be able to fill up your water bottle before the flight. Be sure to, empty it before you go through security. I've had cases where I had to chug my whole water bottle right before security. So just make sure to, empty it out, and then you can fill it on the other side. Bring any snacks. You can buy snacks at the airport just to, give you some sustenance while you are up in the air. You will be provided most likely, hopefully, with a meal on your flight. However, it's great to just have snacks just in case. So I would recommend, stretching in the aisles, kind of moving your body throughout the flight, bringing an eye mask so you can sleep during the flight. Bring, books, and I'm sure you'll be provided, with lots of movies. Hopefully, if you have an on-flight entertainment screen. You can bring any face wash, toothbrush, washcloth, just kind of like freshen up during the flight, freshen up before you land. And definitely make sure to pack 2 to 3 days worth of clothes in your carry-on, just in case, as we said, if your bags do get delayed, you have clothes handy to be able to wear the first few days on site. And again, make sure to pack any essential medications in your carry-on bag as well. Romina, do you kind of want to touch upon, what to do if your flight's delayed or the luggage is lost?
So first of all, if your flight will be delayed, don't worry. It happens very often, so don't worry about that. Make sure, of course, as soon as your flight is delayed or canceled, to find out from the airline when your rescheduled flight is, and then contact me via WhatsApp. And if you don't hear a response within 10 or 15 minutes, please call the emergency number, which is listed here. Don't send messages to the e-phone number. Please make a call. In case you're traveling and your US phone can't call international numbers, you can call the CIS emergency number in the US, which is also listed here, or send an email to the emergency@CISabroad.com email address. Remember, it's very important that you include the information of your new flight, including, of course, the new arrival time, so we can rearrange your airport pickup and send you the information as soon as possible. If you lose your luggage while traveling, if you have connecting flights, again, don't worry, because it happens many times. Before you leave the airport, make sure to find the lost and found desk and talk to the airline representative at the airport, and make sure to fill out a report at their desk. Make sure that the report includes the number that you have to call to ask information, and also give them the Sant'Anna Institute address, which is listed here. Don't give them the address of your apartment if you're staying at apartments. It's better that you give the school's address, because sorry, they're open from 8 a.m. until 7 p.m. So if they have to deliver your luggage, it will be easier for them to find someone at school.
Great. Thank you, Romina.
No
All
problem.
right. So now we will go on to health and safety. So first of all, have you enrolled in the STEP program? So I will explain a little bit about the STEP program. And then if you haven't already enrolled, I would highly recommend enrolling. The STEP program stands for the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program, which is organized by the US State Department. So it's a free service to allow US citizens that are traveling or living abroad to enroll their trip with the nearest US embassy or consulate. So when you register, it allows you to receive important information from the embassy about safety conditions in your destination country, which will help you, make informed decisions about your travel plans. The U.S. Embassy can contact you through this service in case of an emergency, whether it be a national disaster, civil unrest, or even a family emergency. And it can also help family and friends get in touch with you in case of an emergency. So I really recommend you enrolling. It's a really quick process, and it'll just, help you be notified in case of any emergencies. For the CISI health insurance, so you are all enrolled in CISI health insurance as part of your CIS Abroad program fee. So you can see more detailed information of what you are covered under for in your CIS Abroad portal. So there's an insurance packet there with a lot of more detailed information. Molly and Romina will also be addressing what to do when you're sick in the on-site orientation within your first few days in Sorrento. So you'll be, given more information there about, the services that are on site and everything to do with, what to do if I'm sick. All right. And as Molly had mentioned before, there will be a CIS Summer on the Italian Coast WhatsApp group for session 1, session 2, and then both sessions together. So you do want to make sure that you join both WhatsApp groups. So there will be 2 WhatsApp groups that you will be asked to join. So one being the CIS Abroad WhatsApp group that Romina will organize and then send you the link to so you can be part of it. And then the second one being the Santa Ana WhatsApp group. So the Santana WhatsApp group will provide you, with connections with other students besides CIS Abroad students, and will also, kind of notify you about any events or activities that Santa Ana provides. All right, and then the emergency phone, as we gave you on the previous slide. So here are some emergency phone numbers. So the first one being the CIS Abroad 24-hour emergency phone number, and then the Santa Ana emergency phone. So as I said, make sure to write these down, keep these numbers in your phone and in your wallet, just in case anything does happen to your phone. The Italy emergency phone is rotated amongst the Italy staff, 24 hours. And same with the CIS Abroad emergency phone, it's rotated among our staff here. So I would recommend calling the Italian emergency phone first, just because you will be in the same time zone and they are more equipped to deal with an emergency if it does arise. And remember, just keep these numbers in your wallet. All right, and then touching upon the CIS Abroad Code of Conduct. So we always want to ensure when you are abroad, when you are on site, to respect the rules and policies of the Santa Ana Institute of CIS Abroad and your on-site staff. So while you're abroad, we want to make sure that everyone feels comfortable, safe, and happy in Sorrento. And this is going to mean that everyone is abiding by the Code of Conduct that you have signed, and you'll definitely have more opportunity to discuss this with Molly and Romina while on site. All right, Romina, did you want to discuss a little bit about the on-site orientation and the travel form?
Of course, just like I was looking at the numbers here, and just like to clarify, like both numbers on this slide are CIS emergency numbers. There will be a Sant'Anna emergency phone number as well, but maybe just to clarify, these 2 are both from CIS. One is the US CIS emergency phone, and one is the CIS Italy emergency phone. Probably I was confused while reviewing the slides, so I'm sorry about it, but they're both CIS.
Oh, thank you so much, Romina, for pointing that out.
And anyway, I know that all this information can be a little bit overwhelming, and as Juliana said, during the on-site orientation, Molly and I will review all of these information together, just to make sure that you're like more aware and prepared. And also we will talk about the mandatory travel form. It's a travel form that we will be sharing with you once you get on site, and it's a required form. So basically, every time you leave your program location, Sorrento, for over 12 hours, you are required to fill out the travel form and let us know when you're leaving your program location and when you're coming back. So this is for your own safety, and it only takes a couple of minutes to like fill it out. We understand that your privacy is very important, so we will not share your information with anyone unless there is a very serious emergency going on. During the on-site orientation, we will also talk about health and safety, including general safety tips and more like specific safety tips, for example, beach safety or public transportation, like safety tips and so on. Of course, very important that you keep in mind that the code of conduct, it's something very serious, so it's something that you have to review and sign before you go abroad. So basically you are committed and you are aware of the code of conduct before you go abroad. And we take your health and safety very seriously. It's actually our #1 priority. So please review it very carefully and ask us questions from day one until the end of the program. We will be happy to advise you, to share like tips and information with you. And I don't know, Molly, would you like to add anything?
No, I think you pretty much covered it. So the code of conduct, if you're wondering where that's located, that can be found on your portal in the student handbook. And by signing the CISabroad agreement release, you're agreeing to the terms set out in the student handbook. But no, I think, Romina, you covered everything very nicely.
Great. Thank you, Molly and Romina. All right, so now we're going to get to the fun stuff. Where am I going? All right, so by now we should all know you all are going to Sorrento. I found a really fun fact about the Institute itself. The building previously housed a convent. So that's a fun fact I always like to share with students. It's located very close to the beach. Where's that little map? Oh, well, we'll find it later. But Romina, did you want to speak a little bit about Sorrento, about Italy? You have much more experience there.
Yeah, of course. So Sorrento is located in southern Italy. So Italy is a very small country compared to the United States, but there are over 60 million people living here. So it's small, but very much populated. It's a country, of course, rich in history, architecture, and culture. But maybe you don't know that it's actually a very young country, because the unification of Italy happened in 1871. So it's a young country with a lot of history. And because the unification happened so recently, there are many regional differences. And Italy is divided in 20 different regions. Sorrento is located in the Campania region and is part of southern Italy. And as you can see from the little map here, there are also two very big islands which are part of Italy. One is Sicily in the south, and one is Sardinia in the west. Sardinia and Sicily are also two of the 20 regions of Italy. I always encourage students to travel and discover Italy as much as possible. I know you will be spending few weeks here and maybe you want to travel all over Europe, visiting France, Spain, UK. But my advice, especially because you would be here during the summer, is to visit Italy and explore Italy as much as possible. Italy, probably you've heard about it already, but Italy has the largest number of masterpieces per square mile than any other places in the world. And it also has the highest number of UNESCO sites. So we're talking about cultural heritage, and it's really since you're gonna be there, it's really worthy for you like to explore as much as possible. So not only Sorrento, the Amalfi Coast, and the areas close to you, but I encourage you to explore as much as possible in the rest of Italy as well.
Great. Thank you, Romina. Maybe you and Molly both would like to speak to, the life in Italy, the lifestyle, the food, the cafe culture, anything that you can add. I'm sure the students would love to hear.
Yeah, Romina, do you want to start with lifestyle first?
No, of course. So southern Italy and northern Italy are very different, and let's say in southern Italy is known for having a slower pace of life, and also for its family values. Family is a very, very, very important piece of our culture and our like society and social life. You will learn about that after a couple of days. You'll be in Sorrento, and also Sorrento is a small town, but as we were mentioning before, it's very hilly. So you will realize that people in Sorrento, they will use scooters, but I would not recommend you to go on a scooter because Italians drive like crazy and it's very dangerous. We love to walk. So even like in bigger cities like Florence, Rome, Milan, we walk a lot. So be prepared about like walking, and be prepared to like some of the most amazing landscapes you've ever seen. About the Bella Figura concept, I think Molly was mentioning a little bit about this earlier when she was talking about the packing tips. So we care about you know always giving a good impression to people. So for example, we also, I'm not saying that we dress up every day, because of course this is not true, but it's true that we care. And for example, in Italy it's not okay to like wear super casual like outfits like pajamas or like sports wear at like in class, and I know in the States it's totally fine. Or for example, if you are invited to like an event like an an opening of a store or the inauguration of an art exhibition, it's always nice to like go and dress up, because uh, the first impression is something very important. And also you will learn very soon about how food and food culture is part of our life and part of our like society as well. I don't want to be biased, but the food here will like, I mean, you will be impressed. You will love the food and the coffee and the gelato like so much, and you will miss it a lot once you will leave from Sorrento. So be prepared for some of the best foods you've ever had.
Oh, yes. And Romina mentioned coffee. So actually, one of the very first activities we'll do on site after your orientation is kind of learning how to order coffee and kind of what are some different aspects surrounding the culture of coffee in Italy, because there are a lot of different traditions and customs that are different from what we're used to here in the US. Coffee is it's like a ritual. So we'll talk more on site about how to order coffee and how not to look like a tourist when you order coffee. Un cafe is for Italians the single shot of espresso, and you most frequently order it standing at a coffee bar. So, many of you may have seen in the movies, any kind of movie that's made in Italy, if they show a shot of a cafe, they'll show people standing at a bar drinking tiny cups of espresso. So that is actually the most traditional way of taking coffee. For cappuccino, another thing you'll notice is that Italians tend to be very particular about their digestion. So one of the things that that is a huge no-no is having large quantities of milk, for example, after a meal, or for example in the afternoon. A cappuccino is something that you have in the morning, and the reason you don't have it in the afternoon or after a meal is that it's considered, since it's lots of milk, it's considered very heavy and very hard on your digestive system. Romina, anything you'd add to that?
Ah, you're totally right, Molly. So
Yes. And then in terms of weekend getaways, I would just like to second what Romina said about, I really encourage you all to take the time to explore Italy instead of, getting caught up in the motion of, being in Europe in general. There are so many incredible places to see within Italy, within southern Italy even. And there are lots of ways for you to get around, like trains and buses. So I encourage you to kind of maximize the opportunity of being there to see southern Italy and Italy specifically. You'll also notice, of course, other Italians exploring Italy as well. Italians do frequently travel within their own country to explore it as well. They think it's pretty cool also.
Great. Well, thank you, Molly and Romina, for speaking about life in Italy. Oh, it makes me want a nice coffee or cappuccino myself right now. Thank you. All right. So going more towards life in Sorrento. So what you'll experience while you're on site, maybe Molly or Romina, you can talk a little bit about this as well.
Mhm. So Molly and I will do our best to show you around Sorrento and Napoli. We'll take you to Napoli on a day trip, but we also want you to learn how to enjoy life in the Italian way. So it's very, I mean, you will be in the one of the best places of the Mediterranean during the summer. So I'm so excited for you, and I can't wait to show you how to enjoy the location, but also the culture, the food, the people in the best way possible. Um, Sorrento is a very strategic location because from there you will have access to many incredible sites like Mount Vesuvio, the Amalfi Coast, the Path of the Gods. If you like hiking, it's one of the most beautiful places to go hiking in Europe. And then if you love swimming, or if you love islands, Ischia, Capri, and then there's another one, it's not listed here, it's called Procida, are only a couple of hours, maybe even less, away from Sorrento by ferry. Of course, you will be doing a lot of activities through Sant'Anna as well, and these activities includes, for example, some archaeological sites visits. You go to Pompeii, you go to Capri, and the number of cultural heritage sites, just like in the area of Sorrento, is I think it's over 100. It's over 100. So you have to do a list, like a bucket list of places that you want to visit. Molly and I will actually provide a bucket list of our like favorite places in Sorrento and around Sorrento that you shouldn't miss. Anything else, Molly, that you would like to add?
I would just like to add that, one of the things that Sorrento is the most famous for is its lemons and citrus products. So I think one thing that students get so excited about when they arrive on site is that you see these lemon trees with these gigantic oversized lemons just dangling everywhere. So I just wanted to remind you that that'll be around as well, and that you'll have a lot of different lemon products to sample, along with all of fresh local seafood and the excellent coffee we already talked about.
Mm. Ooh, that all sounds wonderful. Great. Well, let's discuss a little bit about getting around Sorrento and maybe to getting to different places in Italy or in Europe. Romina or Molly, would you like to take this away?
Sure. So your main way of getting around Sorrento is going to be walking. Like we mentioned before, Sorrento is a small town that have lots of hills. For example, when you're going from the seaside up to the center of town, you're climbing a lot of stairs. But the town area itself is not big, so you can walk from one end to another, in 30 minutes. To get around the area of Sorrento, there are a few different transportation options. So to travel locally around, Campania and the area close to Sorrento, there's a bus system. So the buses can take you to not only towns near Sorrento, but also to other spots on the Amalfi coast, like Positano, Amalfi, Ravello. So there's a nice bus system for you to do some traveling and exploring of the coastline as well. There's also train, of course. So the Circumvesuviana is the name of the train that connects Sorrento to Naples. And Naples is kind of, being the biggest, closest city. It's the main hub for trains going out to other parts of Italy, as well as for flights that connect you to other parts of Italy and even to other parts of Europe. So the Circumvesuviana, we'll talk more about on site, some different train safety tips. But the Circumvesuviana, is a local train, so it's a place where we always encourage students to keep a close eye on their bags and on their on pickpockets that might be on the train as well. But again, we'll talk more about that on site during your orientation. The Lonely Planet Guide is a great resource, on a side note, for figuring out kind of where to visit and how to get to different places within Italy. So feel free to check out their website as well for some good information. Another thing we'll talk about on site is how to use Google Maps to travel. Google Maps is, I would argue, the single most useful thing I have on my cell phone when traveling in Italy, because you can use Google Maps not only to, not only for driving directions, which is what many students may use it for now, but you can use it for walking directions. You can also use it for train directions. They have different modes of transportation that you can choose, and Google Maps will provide directions accordingly. So that includes even specifying which train you need to take, which bus you need to take. So Google Maps is super, super useful for that. There's also a way for you to download city maps offline. And again, we'll talk about how to do that during orientation, but that's another good way to keep maps accessible even while you're not connected to Wi-Fi or to data. Romina, would you like to talk anything about safety while traveling on trains that we might want to tell students about before they arrive on site?
Yeah, so of course, once you get on site, Molly and I will be available for like any travel advice or any like information you will need. But you should know like ahead of time in case you want to start planning your trips, that one of the easiest way to travel around Italy is using high-speed trains. And the main train stations with high-speed trains in the area where you will be studying are Naples and Salerno. So from Naples or Salerno, for example, you can jump on a high-speed train and be in Florence in like 2 hours and a half, or be in Venice in like 4 hours and a half. So many students, they think that flying from Naples to like Venice or from Naples to like Florence is the easiest thing, but actually is not. It's cheaper and more convenient to travel by train. If you want, of course, to go abroad, while abroad, so if you want to visit like Spain, for example, I know Barcelona is a very popular weekend destination for students studying abroad in Italy. So if you want to visit Barcelona or go to Paris for a weekend, at the Napoli airport, you will find many like options, including budget airlines such as Ryanair, Welling, and EasyJet. Of course, make sure to read about terms and conditions, especially when traveling with like low cost companies, because sometimes there are like some like hidden fees for like luggage, for example. So do your research and make sure to read through all the terms and conditions before making your booking. While on buses, trams, or trains in Italy, but also like in the rest of Europe, always remember to validate your ticket. Otherwise, you will get a fine.
Yeah, all great advice. Thank you so much, Romina and Molly. So now we will go on to where am I studying? So we know that we are all studying at Santana Institute. Here's the map I was looking for earlier. So you can see kind of where Santa Ana Institute is located in the vicinity of the beach, the most important, lots of restaurants, and the marina. So Romina, do you want to speak a little bit more about the location of Santana Institute?
Yeah, sure. So as you were saying earlier, Juliana, the school itself, it's a former convent. It's been restored less than 2 years ago, so it's an historical building, but the interior is very new. It's located in my favorite part of Sorrento. It's called Marina Grande, and it's basically a fisherman's village with town. It's, as you can see from the picture, it's by the water, and the building overlooks the Gulf of Naples. So the view from the school is priceless, and I'm sure you will fall in love with Marina Grande. It's close to the city center, so it's like 10 minutes or less away from the main street of Sorrento. And I love it because it's, of course, it's very famous. A lot of tourists go to Marina Grande, but it's always less packed and less busy than the center of Sorrento. Um, Molly, do you want to add anything about the school?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the cool things about Santana is that it actually started out as a language school. So it kind of began working with Italian language courses and other language courses and has expanded now to work with study abroad students. So you can expect to meet other students from the US in your classes. Another really cool feature about your classes is that many classes at Santana include an experiential learning component, like a field trip that would have you with the marine biology class, snorkeling or kayaking. So I think that's one of the really cool things about Santana is that they really try to integrate the area of Italy that they're in into your class material. So you have a lot to look forward to in that respect.
It's all very exciting. All right, so now we'll discuss a little bit about your accommodation while in Sorrento. So I can touch upon a little bit of the general, and then Romina, maybe you want to dive a little bit deeper into it. So I'll be discussing a little bit about the student dorms. So those of you placed in the student dorms, you'll be located on the top 2 floors of Santana Institute. So you'll be in double rooms, and you'll also have access to shared kitchen space. The way it works, it's little kitchen stations all in one room, so you have all the amenities available to you. And for the shared apartments, you'll be with other CIS Abroad and Santana students, so you'll be no further than about a 20 to 25-minute walk from the Santana Institute. Apartments are usually 4 to 8 participants. Everything will be furnished, and you'll have access to a shared common area and a kitchen space, again with the amenities. We just like to tell students, although bedding will be provided for you, there will not be a towel, so we recommend, bring a towel and then bring a beach towel for the beach. And as for roommates, you will be having roommates. Practice, the same respect and courtesy that I'm sure you already all do in your living situations now. Romina, I don't know if you want to discuss a little bit more about the dorms of the apartments. You can also discuss a little bit about the rules and maybe the differences that the students will encounter while in Italy.
Yeah, of course. So of course, dorms, we have a group of students staying at the dorms at Santana, as you said, Juliana, and a group of students staying at apartments in like different areas of Sorrento. Apartments are all nice, but of course they're all different because different, location, different size, different furniture. I did like a pre-visit last week, and I can tell you that all apartments are really nice. The main differences between like housing here and housing in, the US for like college students is that I would say the 95% of places in Italy has no dryers. So you will learn how to dry clothes the Italian way, as you can see from the picture. We do that, first of all, because the cost of electricity is very high here compared to the States. And also because it's very sunny, so it takes nothing to dry clothes out of, the balcony or on the drying rack. And it's also like a very environmental friendly way to, dry your clothes. Another like big difference is about quiet hours and noise policy. So in Italy, especially during the summer when it gets extremely hot, many stores, offices are closed between 1 a.m. and 4 p.m., which are the hottest hours during the day. During those hours in like apartments and condos, you are required to like be quiet, and it's like a law, so it's not like an internal, rule. It's actually like an Italian law. And quiet hours, so they go from 1 p.m. to like 4 p.m. and then from 10 p.m. to like 8 a.m. in the morning. And it's pretty much the same all over Italy. Molly, do you want to say something about the 3 strikes policy, or should we talk about this during the orientation?
We can go over it again in the orientation, but the 3 strikes policy basically is just related to what we talked about earlier with the CIS Abroad Code of Conduct. But again, we'll talk about what that is more in detail on site.
Okay.
Great. So that's a little bit about the dorms, the shared apartments, what to expect with housing. And now we can discuss a little bit about your first days in Sorrento. Molly or Romina, would you like to speak a little bit about the day one and what that looks like?
Yeah, so on day one, Santana their staff will take care of airport pickup, and they will, transfer all like students from the Napoli airport to Sorrento, and you will check in into the apartments. Molly and I are thinking about moving the welcome dinner on the following day, just because we realized that some of you will arrive in the afternoon. So with the transfer from the airport and the jet lag and so on, we're thinking about moving the dinner to like day 2. We'll share more detailed information later on via email. So expect, an email from us very soon. On day 2, you will have 2 orientation meetings. First, the CIS orientation meeting at Sant'Anna, and then the Sant'Anna orientation meeting. Both, of course, meetings will take place at school, and then Sant'Anna will organize our reception, a welcome reception for you, and a walking tour so you can like familiarize with your program location. And Molly and I will be also available for you in case you want to like get a phone, if you need more information about that. And we will be taking you to like a nice restaurant downtown Sorrento for the CIS welcome dinner. On day 3, as Molly was mentioning earlier, we'll take you to one of our favorite places to have the typical Italian breakfast. So you will learn how to order coffee and the differences between the Italian breakfast and the American breakfast.
Great. That all sounds so wonderful. In addition to, the first activities, in the first couple days, you'll also, be exposed to some of these activities that you see on the screen. Molly or Romina, do you want to speak to any other activities that they may experience on site?
Sure. So we already talked a little bit about orientation. Again, there's going to be a CIS Abroad and a Sant'Anna orientation. You'll have a welcome dinner, as Romina mentioned, and we'll be taking you to an typical Italian breakfast as well. Another activity we'll be doing is a lemon garden tour. Like I mentioned a little bit earlier, Sorrento is super famous for its lemons and for the lemon products that are derived from their specific type of lemons. So we'll do a tour of a lemon garden followed by tasting of some of the local products. We'll also be doing a day trip to Naples, which is about an hour to an hour and a half away on that train I mentioned, the Circumvesuviana. So we will get to try some of the famous Neapolitan pizza, which actually the Neapolitan pizza making is on the UNESCO heritage list of sites. So fun fact. Your Sant'Anna excursion, you'll also have one of those included. You'll be going to Capri. We'll also have office hours at Sant'Anna, weekly office hours. So if you have questions, you want travel tips, you just need help or clarification or guidance on adjusting to living life in Italy, we'll have CIS staff available during those hours to lend you a hand. And then, of course, at the end of the program, we'll also have a farewell event with the group, so you all can have a final fun night together. Romina, anything to add about those?
Yeah, Molly and I are also working on something very special for you. We would like to take you to one of the small towns near Sorrento and organize a very nice, cool pizza workshop, because pizza is also like part of it's probably the most famous Italian food abroad and the best pizza in the world. And the place where pizza was invented is actually Naples. So Naples and the area around Naples is definitely the best place where to learn how to make pizza and the best place to have the best pizza.
Yes, and we also are planning a wine tasting event as well at a local winery in Sorrento. So stay tuned for more information about dates. We will be sending out an email closer to the start of your program, about a week or 2 out, so that you'll have all the dates and you can mark those on your calendar, and then you can plan any of your independent travels around those.
Wow, very exciting. It looks like you all have a lot to look forward to. So in the meantime, while you're getting excited and receiving more information about Sorrento, you can be sure to review these resources that you see below. So there's a great guide that tells you all about Sorrento, what you need to know, kind of reiterates this information done by our Italy site directors. So I really recommend you taking a look at that. Also, in your CIS Abroad portal, you do have the link to Module 1, which goes over some of this information, as well as the link to Module 2 that is in your acceptance email. The link to Module 3, which will just give you a more detailed breakdown of some of this information, and more will be provided to you in a separate email. So keep your eye on that. And then just to be able to, connect with other students, connect with alumni, be sure to, follow us on Instagram. You can follow us on Snapchat. There'll be more information coming up about how you can join the CIS Abroad Sorrento Facebook group. So either Romina or I will provide you with that link so you're able to join and get more information there. So yeah, lots of exciting things to look forward to and ways to stay connected. So that just about sums up our pre-departure webinar. Thank you so much for tuning in. So now we have some time for questions. So if you do have any questions, let me see here. All right, so great question. Is there any way for us students to meet each other before going to Italy? So as I just said, there's great resources in order to connect you to other students. So, Instagram, the Facebook group can allow you to kind of put in, your contact information if you want to start chatting with other students by email or by Facebook. You can, kind of exchange travel plans, get to know if anyone is on your flights. Molly and Romina, I don't know if you've had any more experience with how students have connected and what are the best ways to go about that.
Yeah, so one other thing that will be sent out in coming weeks is basically an information disclosure form. So that'll be sent to all students participating in session 1 and session 2, and sessions 1 and 2. And if you opt into that information disclosure form, that basically just gives us permission to share your contact information with other students in the group. So when you get that email asking you to opt into that information disclosure, that's a really good opportunity for you to say, yes, you can put other students in contact with me. And once we have compiled that list of all the students who opt in to having their information shared with each other, then we'll be able to send that list out to all Sorrento students. So that's will again happen probably 1 to 2 weeks, probably closer to the 2 weeks side prior to your arrival on site.
Great, thank you, Molly. So I did get a few questions about roommates and when you all are likely to figure out who you are rooming with. So Molly and I are working on the housing along with Santana. So hopefully you will receive your roommates, by next week. Romina or Molly, I don't know if you have any more insight into this.
Yeah, probably. I was discussing with Molly like just a couple of hours ago. Probably we will be able to give you the information about housing at least 3 weeks ahead before you travel to Italy.
Great, thank you. And I did have one question about the quiet hours. So do the quiet hours work the same way on weekends as they may work during their week? So Romina, maybe you can speak to this a little bit.
Yeah, it's the same over weekends as well.
Okay. All right, so that looks like all the questions we had. Oh, I think one just popped up. So when will we find out our courses? Romina, maybe you can speak a little bit about the courses and when they're likely to find out their confirmed courses.
I think it's pretty much the same. So 2 or 3 weeks, right, Molly? 2 or 3 weeks before they get on site.
Yeah, it should be right in that 2 to 3 week window.
Great. And we did have another question regarding courses about how long each class is. You know, maybe the time that they'll be spending in class, how many days they'll be in class, and any textbooks that they may need.
I guess it depends. Yeah, Molly, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was basically going to say the same thing. You started to say that. It depends on the classes that you're taking. Most classes are held Monday through Thursday. Keep in mind that since you're taking a summer course, you have to get in the number of contact hours across a shorter period of time than if, for example, you were taking a semester-long class. So again, generally speaking, most classes would be held Monday through Thursday, but you also may have an academic field trip or something of that nature on a Friday or on a weekend as well. You'll get information about the class schedule as well as any academic field trips that are involved right in that same email, that 2 to 3 week out from the start of your program window when Santana sends out additional academic information. So again, the exact class time will vary. Last year, the classes, I believe in the summer, are probably about 2 hours in length. Does that sound about right, Romina?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but again, you'll want to wait until you receive that official academic schedule and calendar from Santana, which should be about 2 to 3 weeks prior to arrival on site.
Great. And we also did have one question regarding a student who will be staying for both sessions. So they are wondering if they are likely to have the same roommate for the both sessions for the entire time, or if they'll swap roommates from session 1 to session 2.
Yeah, so we will definitely aim to keep students who are doing sessions 1 and 2, together, because it'll just keep things, you'll have better continuity that way. So that'll definitely be the aim when doing housing assignments. But of course, depending on the number of students, if that fits nicely into a series of rooms, you may have a student or a roommate that changes out halfway through your term, but the priority will be to place the session 1 and 2 students all together.
Great. Well, I think that about sums up our question portion. Thank you to everyone who tuned in and to everyone who is listening after the fact. I really appreciate you taking all the time. Thank you so much, Romina and Molly, for coming and sharing your insight on Sorrento. I really appreciate it, and I hope all of you are getting super excited. It's going to come up before we know it. So thank you so much again, and I look forward to speaking with you soon. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks so much. We really look forward to seeing you on site. I hope you're getting so excited.
See you soon.
Ciao.
Bye. Ciao.